In 2006, we lost Ronnie Sox of the famous Sox and Martin racing team. It was a shock to the Mopar world, and we all realized at that moment that we were not going to have our heroes around forever. Soon wrote an editorial in Mopar Collector's Guide referencing how we needed to do a Hall of Fame for the Mopar heroes that we grew up with, to preserve Mopar history for the future generations. As the years went by, I ran into a good friend of mine, Jim Kramer, at a show, and he asked me when I was going to do a Mopar Hall of Fame. I must have looked at him with a yeah right look in my eyes. He proceeded to say, "If you don't do it, no one else will." In my heart of hearts, I knew he was right, so in 2011 I began lining up sponsors and critical people to help me pull something together that the entire Mopar community could be proud of. What we ended up with was a number of Hall of Fame induction dinners that were held Saturday night of each Chrysler's at Carlisle event from 2012 until 2018. The Mopar Hall of Fame will go forward each preceding year in the pages of Mopar Collector's Guide magazine. This is one of those recordings made on one of those incredible nights at the Mopar Hall of Fame at Chrysler's at Carlisle.
Good evening. We want to thank Rob Wolf for putting all this together and doing this, and it's a real honor for us to be here, to be inducted into this. We want to start with Buddy Martin. Buddy was our leader. He was the organizer of the group that made it all happen. Come on up here, Bud. Tell them a little about what you did and why we did it and what we did.
Well, you know enough. You talk enough.
I'll talk some more after a while.
No, I agree with you. I want to thank Rob and Lisa and the magazine and everyone for putting this together, and it is a real honor. And of course, to me, the real honor is Herb and Dave and Ronnie and Jake and Chick and Joe, and just we could go on and on about the people that worked with us. And I don't know that you ever heard the name Sox and Martin without hearing the Sox and Martin team. And that's really what we were. We were a team. And we worked together, we enjoyed working together, we enjoyed each other. And the nice thing is, I mean, we're still good friends today. So that's what means so much to me. It's the people in this business that has kept us alive and kept us doing what we enjoyed and loved to do. And without the people, it just wouldn't be the same, because, you know, we raced Jenkins, we raced Nicholson, we raced anyone we could and wanted to beat them, but when it was over, we went and had dinner, or, you know, went and got a sandwich, or we talked to each other or whatever. And you just don't see a lot of that today. And I think that it's taken a lot away from this sport. And it's great to see that we're seeing a lot of young people show up again. It's not people like myself that their hair is turning gray. And that's the other thing that, yeah, Todd, your hair's turning gray too. But it's, you know, the sport can't go on if we don't have young people coming along to take advantage of it. And it's good to see the young people that we saw out there today at the program. So again, it's a great honor. You know, the thing that would be the most wonderful thing is if Ronnie and Jake could be here. Thank you.
We have Diane here. She'll be, you know, accepting for Ronnie. We'll let Diane tell a little bit about her and Ronnie.
First, I'd like to say congratulations to all the inductees, because I know that's what Ronnie would want to do. Very humbled to be here. I thank Rob Wolf and the whole entire Mopar Collector's Guide for putting this on. I agree with Buddy. It's because of every one of you that the legends and the racing continues to go on. And in my opinion, I'm a little biased. I love Buddy and the whole team, and especially my husband. But these guys were the pioneers that started what racing is today, and as we all know, it's not quite the same. But there's one thing that Ronnie told me when he was sick, and we were having our conversations, and I said, I'm afraid. I don't know how I'm going to do this without you. I don't want you to leave me. The typical things you say when you're losing a spouse. And he looked at me and he said, Diane, you'll never be alone. And I said, yes, I will. I won't have you. He said, Diane, the Mopar world is a very tight-knit world. And he said, at any time, I guarantee you, if you need something, there will be somebody there for you. And once again, he was right. Because when I got the idea to start the Ronnie Sox Foundation, Buddy was 100% on board with me. And within a matter of no time, we had magazines, Mopar Muscle, Mopar Collector's Guides, Mopar Enthusiasts. We had people like Russ Flegel, Shafi Kiesler, TTI. I mean, I could stand up here and spend the whole night listing all the people that have helped us. And because of you and your help, the Ronnie Sox legend lives on in a good way, not just in a racing way. Thank you. It lives on in a good way because during his battle with chemo, it really did touch his heart that children had to endure what he did with chemo. And that's why we came up with a whole thing of supporting St. Jude solely. So we truly are making a difference in lives of other people, all because of you and the fans. And last but not least, I would like to give Buddy Martin credit. My husband very rarely ever gave a speech, well, when I was with him anyway, that he did not give Buddy Martin credit for pushing him to be the very best that he could be, because he said if Buddy hadn't, who knows, he may not have been what he ended up being. I always say they were the dynamic duo, and the team with them was the dynamic trio, and I'm very blessed and honored to be associated with all of them. And even though it's bittersweet that Ronnie's not here to stand beside his fellow teammates and his race partner of all these years, it's sweet because I know in my heart he'll never be forgotten. So thank you very much.
Buddy was our organizer. Buddy was our leader. He booked the races. He dealt with the sponsors. He took care of everything. Ronnie and I got to drive the cars, and we got a lot of glory thanks to him, and met a lot of people and did a lot of great things. But we couldn't have done what we did in that era without people like Jake and Dave Christie here. Dave worked so many hours, and Jake worked so many hours putting the cars together, Jake putting the engines together, Dave putting the cars together, and this is Dave Christie, who was the backbone of that car that Ronnie sat down and drove in.
I'm kind of humbled to be here tonight on this. I'm one of the young people that Buddy was speaking about. I was 23 years old when he gave me a chance to come down there and go to work. And I worked with Jake King, and he was probably one of the most conscientious, thorough people that I've ever known. And I've worked with a lot of engine people through my career, and I would put Jake there with, right at the top. I have only met 2 or 3 people in my career that I feel were as good as Jake. He didn't have anything more than anybody else did. He just did more with it. And it was mostly just taking the time that it took to find the best there was in parts or people. And he taught me a lot, and I'm very grateful for it. Thank you.
Since they're talking so much about Jake, I know some of you folks have heard this, but for you that haven't, one of the most important lessons that Jake ever learned was that you don't get out of the sleeper in the truck in the middle of the night that Ronnie and Jake were on their way to the West Coast back in 1966. And, we had the four-door Dodge trucks back then, and the back seat of the truck was a sleeper. And usually you would remove your slacks or your pants or whatever and, relax as much as you could in the back seat of that truck. Well, they were out in New Mexico, and that time of year it gets pretty chilly out there. And, of course, Ronnie had to go. So he pulled over to the side of the road and stopped, got out. Unbeknown to him, Jake slid out on the other side of the truck. Well, Ronnie finished. He got back in the truck. He drove off. Jake wasn't finished. And just so happened, Pee Wee Wallace from Richmond, Virginia, happened to come by just very shortly after that. Picked Jake up, he in his underwear, and they went on about 20 miles down the road and came into this little town, and they pulled up beside of Ronnie and they said, "Man, you driving to the coast by yourself?" He said, "No, Jake's with me." I said, "Where is he?" "He's in the back seat." Ronnie turned around and did a double take, and of course Jake had, hid down in Pee Wee's truck so Ronnie wouldn't see him. But from that point on, Jake stood on the running board. You can believe it. So whenever Jake said, "I don't know anything,"
I lost my job. I was fixing to tell that story. We had a great team there with Jake and Dave, and Gail Mortimer helped me, and I could tell another story now. Buddy took my story. So we did a lot of test work and did a lot of stuff. People said we had stuff that they didn't have, and that really was not true. We might have had it a week or two before they did because we tested it, ran it on the car, and then Chrysler would pass it down to everybody else. That was why Chrysler dominated that pro stock scene so strong, is because all of us worked together. Our group worked together to help each other, and when we found something, it was passed on to the rest of the people. And that's why our team was so good, and that's why the Chrysler team was so good. I got one little story that I like to tell. We were in Akron, Ohio. I had to run a match race with Nicholson on a Wednesday night at Quaker City, and so Bill Abraham, who was head of Firestone, he invited Gail and I up to have lunch with him at the Firestone Country Club. We didn't have no business in the Firestone Country Club, but we went because it's a free meal. So we're up there eating with Bill, and so I was talking to Bill and Bert Thomas. I said, "When are we going to get some new tires?" I said, "These 12 231s quarters that we got, we've just, overpowered them." And they kind of looked at each other and laughed. And I said, "Let me rephrase that question. Where are these new tires?" And he said, "They're over in the warehouse. You want to try them?" I said, "Sure." They had no name on them. They were complete blanks. They were just test tires. So Gail and I went and got them after we ate, mounted them up, went and ran Nicholson that night. I think I beat him the first run. He beat me the second run. We were within a couple hundreds of each other. So Gail and I bolted on these 1432s that nobody had ever seen, and I killed him the next run. That was on a Wednesday. We ran Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that week, which wasn't real uncommon at that time. We were back at the shop on Monday, and the phone rings Tuesday morning. And the girl, Renee, calls me to the phone. She said, "Herb, Bill Abraham, Firestone, wants to talk to you." And so I picked up the phone. I said, "Yeah, Bill." He said, "Herb," he said, "did you race everybody in the country this weekend?" I said, "Pretty much." And he said, "I assume you beat everybody." I said, "Yes, sir, everybody I ran." He said, "You can't imagine how many phone calls I've gotten about these tires that you've got on your car that nobody else has got." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's going to be 2 weeks before I get those tires in production so I can get them to everybody." I said, "Would you send me another set by then? Mine's going to be wore out." So, but that's the kind of stuff we did, week in and week out. We were constantly trying to go faster. And like I say, 2 weeks later, everybody else got it. But that gave us a little advantage a lot of times. But thank you all very much for inducting us into this. We're very appreciative of that. Rob, where's Rob? I lost Rob. There's Rob. And I hope this becomes a much bigger and better thing, and I think we'll see it in a building. I've heard some rumors. Is that right, Rob? that it's going to happen. So thank you all very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll sit up here.
If you like this video, please smash the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this one online, hit the subscribe to Mopar TV button. It's totally free. Also, if you'd like to support the Mopar Hall of Fame and vote for future inductees, go to MoparCollectorsGuide.com and subscribe to the only Mopar magazine that matters. A portion of your subscription will go to help keep Mopar history alive for future generations.